How can I tell? Size of the tracks. You know, that's a big damn wolverine. Kavik means wolverine in Eskimo. The medicinal value of it, when I need, is to make a balm so I can put it on my sore muscles and joints. I had a tremendous amount of surgeries and work done. For me, I gotta get my poop, so to speak, in a square, tighten it up so that I'm Super Sue again. But how do I do that?
At 62, Sue Aikens is no stranger to the spotlight, but her recent official confirmations have sent shockwaves through the Life Below Zero fanbase. After years of denials and dodging the camera, the most powerful woman in the Arctic has finally admitted a shocking secret directly tied to the survival of Kavik Camp. Latest internal reports and medical records reveal a completely different picture of her life behind the scenes of those breathtaking survival clips. This is more than just a story of nature's harshness. It is a confession of a journey filled with scars that have never been disclosed until now.
All animals figure out where other animals sleep. Where are they denning up? Where are they bedding down? He's testing my line.
In 1975, a family upheaval completely shifted the trajectory of Sue Aikens' life when she was only 12 years old. Once her parents finalized their divorce, her mother moved her from suburban Chicago to a remote community north of Fairbanks, Alaska. Only a few months after arriving in this alien land, her mother decided to leave to seek opportunities in the southern part of the state, abandoning Sue to become an independent resident living in the subarctic semi-desert conditions. Throughout the period from 1975 to 1979, Sue Aikens had to sustain herself without a legal guardian, access to social support services, or formal education. In an autobiography sent to the Polar Habitat and Climate Research Institute, she described this phase as a total rupture from urban institutions, forcing her to develop extreme survival reflexes to endure harsh winters. Land use records from the U.S. Bureau of Land Management confirm Sue was the only individual to register land use rights in an area with Category 5 extreme weather for nearly 2 consecutive decades. This isolation was not a romantic choice. It was the result of a vacant social support system. The Anchorage Daily News once documented cases of frontier residents having to fend for themselves in the absence of government protection, and Sue's case stands as a prime example of human resilience when pushed to the brink. In personal notes used to analyze behavior in isolated environments, Sue called this state by a technical term, preventative survival standard. She wrote, "I have built my entire mental system based on 3 factors: internal control, maintaining single-line operations, and eliminating the expectation of long-term social interactions." This was her way of neutralizing the risk of dependency, a defense mechanism born from the pain of past abandonment. A 2024 behavioral assessment report by the Alaska Psychogeographic Analysis Team noted that Sue Aikens' personality formation stemmed from re-establishing psychological habits in a state lacking external interaction structures since pre-adolescence. This trait formed an ability to function independently far beyond normal limits, while simultaneously creating significant barriers to reintegrating into society. In a report to the Arctic Registry, Sue Aikens once candidly viewed herself as the end product of a chain of social ruptures and affirmed her choice to operate her life in that manner. To her, loneliness was not a tragedy to be cured, but a tool to maintain sanity. She emphasized, "Limited contact with outsiders is necessary to maintain continuous mental functioning in isolation." Data from the Alaska Census for isolated populations shows that from 2010 to 2020, Sue recorded fewer than 15 direct contacts per year with groups outside the Kavik area. In archived records, she admitted to viewing Kavik Station as an extension of her reflexive nervous system. This analogy explains why she adamantly clung to this place, regardless of the major upheavals that followed. Leaving Kavik meant facing a society she had refused to understand for a very long time. This harsh psychological foundation created a Sue Aikens who was unshakable until physical crises struck. Cracks began to appear when her body no longer followed the commands of a steel will, forcing her to face the truth about a horrific accident hidden for years. the secret behind the 2015 accident. The snowmobile accident in 2015 was not merely a professional risk shown on Life Below Zero. It was the starting point of a decade-long physical decline that Sue Aikens worked hard to conceal. According to medical documents established in Anchorage in 2020, the collision in extreme weather during an emergency trip across unstable terrain left serious consequences. Diagnosis records noted a broken collarbone, a dislocated hip, and extensive soft tissue damage. This condition later progressed into chronic osteoarthritis, making the maintenance of operations at Kavik River Camp much more difficult than in previous years. In an internal note in early 2023, Sue admitted to the physical pressure. "I used to think I could get through anything, but there were times when I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue." Still, for many months after the accident, she refused to evacuate, believing that everything at Kavik required experienced on-site supervision. By late 2021, after completing filming obligations for season 19 of Life Below Zero, Sue Aikens secretly underwent extensive reconstructive surgery at a private hospital in Washington state. The decision to have surgery outside of Alaska was made to ensure absolute privacy during the post-operative period and avoid disrupting the show's production schedule. Medical records show she underwent 6 months of rehabilitation in total absence from the cameras. In an internal conversation recorded in early 2023, she shared, "I don't want people to see me weaken. I'm not invincible, but I've never made a habit of warning when I'm down." The Arctic Sounder previously reported on the medical challenges for residents in remote areas, where distance and weather often prevent timely access to healthcare. For Sue, the delay in surgical intervention from 2015 to 2021 made complications harder to manage. She confirmed undergoing a period of using mild antipsychotic medication as prescribed by doctors to control insomnia and anxiety disorders arising during recovery. Her mental state at the time was described in personal notes as being locked in my own body with negative thoughts about giving up on life in the Arctic altogether. Her return to Kavik in June 2022 was based on a positive medical assessment. But Sue Aikens admitted this was a limited operation version of herself. She began applying a healthcare method combining medical data and circadian rhythm control, strictly adhering to rest cycles established by physical therapists in Juneau. Relaxation activities, light exercise, and low-pressure breathing techniques were added to her weekly program from February 2024 to stabilize her body post-surgery. This severe decline in mobility forced Sue Aikens to reevaluate her entire structure of existence at Kavik River Camp to adapt to adversity. Technical and behavioral changes were no longer a personal choice. They became the prerequisite for her to remain in the deadland without direct human support. From this point, a total overhaul and unprecedented confessions about the fate of the supply station began to emerge through tightly kept internal documents. Confessions about Kavik. Physical decline after a series of surgeries led to a major shift in Sue Aikens' survival mindset, materialized by a memo sent to the Alaska Northern Region Rangers in September 2022. In this document, she officially outlined a withdrawal path from Kavik River Camp after more than 40 years of continuous residence. Sue admitted that post-traumatic stress from the old accident had a direct impact on her mental health, creating long-lasting and difficult-to-manage effects. She described this phase as the breaking point of solitude, a state where isolation was no longer a strength but a psychological burden weighing on every daily operational decision. An excerpt from an interview never publicly released but confirmed for internal use recorded her haunting confession. "I thought about pulling the main fuel line, shutting down the system completely and letting it all go. But maybe I needed Kavik more than Kavik needed me." This quote was later used by the Alaska Institute for Climate and Adaptation as vital data to assess the psychological resilience of polar personnel. To maintain the station under limited health conditions, Sue began implementing a series of strategic changes in her personal operations and living space organization. Since July 2022, the entire living system at Kavik has been adjusted to a low-energy circular living model, to reduce stress on the musculoskeletal system and facilitate post-operative exercise habits. Part of the main living area was renovated to accommodate automated support equipment, including high-intensity climate monitors, snow and ice pressure sensors, and a semi-passive freshwater storage system. Notably, by the end of 2023, she completed the conversion of the heating system from direct fuel burning to an indirect heat storage system, a technical improvement that significantly reduced heavy manual operations during winter. In reports to the Arctic Sounder, environmental experts noted that this transition was not just medical adaptation, but a step forward in risk management for isolated shelters. Sue Aikens also conducted internal audits to analyze reflexive behavior in long-term isolation, data which was coded and stored in a personal record system for periodic comparison. She reevaluated all arising psychological reactions and developed a controlled response method, viewing it as the next step in implementing an individual intervention program to maintain behavioral consistency amidst internal fluctuations. Her withdrawal plan was not an immediate abandonment, but a calculated transition. Sue outlined a project to build an auxiliary cabin about 110 miles from Kavik, a strategic location helping her gradually shift her residence southward, closer to commercial air routes and modern medical facilities. According to land use documents, this location allows her to maintain a connection with the wilderness while reducing biological risks associated with operating a large-scale supply station like Kavik. This expensive restructuring process aimed not only to protect her health, but also to preserve the economic value and brand image she had built over dozens of television seasons. Financial stability has now become the most important tool for her to realize these costly changes, opening up hidden corners of million-dollar contracts and real power behind the lens. The $2.4 million figure. The relationship between Sue Aikens and the reality television industry is far from a simple collaboration between a subject and a film crew. It is a meticulously calculated business strategy that has redefined survival as a commercial asset. Since her debut on Life Below Zero in 2013, she has successfully transformed her solitary existence at Kavik into a high-value global brand. According to internal financial disclosures revealed in late 2024, Sue's total direct earnings from the franchise have surpassed the $2.4 million USD mark. Her remuneration per episode reportedly fluctuates between $3,500 and $4,500 USD, culminating in an average annual income of approximately $190,000 US dollars before taxes during the 2019 to 2022 period. Most of these substantial funds, as evidenced by station expenditure ledgers, have been reinvested directly into the rigorous maintenance and technological upgrading of Kavik's infrastructure. This includes everything from high-end weather monitoring arrays to auxiliary power stations and specialized fuel storage. The Hollywood Reporter once analyzed the unique longevity of polar reality stars, noting that Sue Aikens is a rare phenomenon for maintaining a dominant presence across 23 consecutive seasons, spanning from 2013 to 2025. Out of 254 total episodes produced in this time frame, she appeared in 242, clocking an average of 7 minutes and 34 seconds of screen time per episode, the highest engagement metric among the entire cast. However, Sue's influence extends well beyond appearing in front of the lens. A production responsibility adjustment document signed and dated March 4, 2017, confirmed her appointment as a field co-coordinator for Arctic filming operations. This pivotal role granted her the authority to inspect terrain conditions, dictate appropriate filming windows based on localized weather, and assess biological risks before any crew members were permitted on site. In a 2018 contract addendum, her position was further elevated to that of a long-term winter safety advisor, a title that provided her with a decisive voice in the underlying operational structure of Life Below Zero. This professional height, while lucrative, came with grueling compromises regarding her personal autonomy and privacy. Following her secretive 2021 surgery, Significant friction arose between Sue and the production unit concerning the protection of her physical image during the vulnerable recovery phase. An internal memo from August 2023 revealed that a representative for the show had to authorize a transition from live-action segments to pre-recorded archival material to allow Sue the necessary space to manage her medical schedule. She remained firm in her 2025 media self-assessment, stating, "I do not intend to become an icon, but Kavik needs someone to keep the image true to its nature. That is why I maintain a presence in front of the camera." Expanding her reach, Sue also made a surprising entry into commercial cinema in 2022, serving as one of 3 executive producers for the action film Panama. Working as a field consultant, she provided high-level expertise on extreme highland ecosystems, proving that her survival intellect possessed significant value in the broader entertainment landscape. This strategic diversification of her income streams has not only fortified her financial independence, but also served as a critical foundation for building a legacy that is no longer tethered solely to the seasonal storms of the Kavik River Camp. The final ice legacy. The period spanning from 2024 to 2025 marks a profound effort by Sue Aikens to transform her decades of personal survival experience into a structured data system of immense scientific value for the broader community. No longer content with merely being a subject of observation, she established a formal cooperative framework with the Alaskan Civil Health Organization, effectively turning Kavik River Camp into a permanent monitoring station for human endurance and physiological limits. According to internal operating documents, each quarter she undergoes 2 comprehensive health screenings focusing on 3 critical indicator groups: the musculoskeletal system, the sympathetic nervous system, and high-altitude blood oxygen saturation. This data serves a dual purpose. It provides meticulous post-operative monitoring for her own recovery while being systematically coded for broader research into ontogenetic reconfiguration within environments of total isolation. The Arctic Sounder recently noted that Sue's true legacy lies not in her residency records or her television longevity, but in the sophisticated way she has modernized the very concept of survival. At Kavik, she has completed the installation of an automated living circle system, which allows the station to maintain a stable operational state even in the absence of direct human intervention. In a formal report submitted to the Arctic Registry in December 2024, she stated, "I have proactively reoriented my entire living system to strategically adapt to these new physical constraints. This is a deliberate process of reducing biological risk and enhancing endogenous stability." Her transition toward using technical, clinical terminology instead of emotional prose reflects a significant evolution in her identity. She has moved from being an instinctive, reactionary hunter to becoming a professional manager of extreme environmental risk. Another cornerstone of her effort to preserve this legacy was her strategic purchase of a small log cabin in the Northern Territory in 2019, secured through a residency application with the U.S. Bureau of Land Management. This location is intended to serve as a secure repository for her extensive personal records and the psychogeographic research materials she has meticulously collected over the last half-century. In an official statement released in early 2025, Sue shared, "Kavik is an extension of my reflexive nervous system, but my legacy must be what future generations can learn from this solitude." To ensure this knowledge is passed on, she has begun the monumental task of converting her decades of personal journals and notes into formal training manuals. These documents focus on psychological resilience and behavioral consistency for personnel stationed in extreme polar environments. As of 2026, Sue Aikens remains the preeminent icon who has successfully maintained a delicate balance between international television stardom and the brutal, unyielding reality of the Arctic. Her structural living changes and long-term medical commitments signal that she is prepared for a new chapter, one where she is no longer in a constant state of combat with nature, but rather operating in a calculated harmony with it. Her final declaration in the 2025 Media Self-Assessment Report emphasized a powerful truth. whether she eventually leaves Kavik or not, the data-driven, internally controlled survival methodology she has pioneered will remain the gold standard for anyone seeking to conquer the world's most unforgiving landscapes. Sue Aikens' journey at the pole is the ultimate testament to transforming past ruptures and trauma into a foundation of absolute, unshakable independence. As the final secrets are confirmed, the audience no longer sees a mere reality star, but a living entity writing the definitive closing chapters of a proud and formidable ice legacy. At 62, she has not only triumphed over the physical harshness of Alaska, but has mastered her own internal barriers to leave behind a story that defines the true essence of the human spirit. This journey, from an abandoned girl to a woman who commands the Arctic, has officially silenced the skeptics and opened a new era of profound respect for the resilience of the human will. If you find this journey from an abandoned girl to the master of the Arctic inspiring, please hit like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next secrets about world-class figures. Thank you for watching, goodbye, and see you in the next content.